welcome to another installment. This is going to be my Let's Code series. This is my first episode of that series where I'm just going to create something based off of some technology. A vague idea, but I'm coding it kind of without any script. I mean, I've got a basic idea of what's going to go on, but we're just going to kind of build this thing from scratch and just go for it. And I've not really picked the best day of the year to do this on either, because it's so hot in the UK right now, and I've got like a ton of windows there, and all of the heat has just come in here, and it's not good. So I've decided to pick 1:30 in the afternoon, possibly the hottest part of the day, to record this. So here we go. Let's see how this goes. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to build a persistent basket solution using React, Redux, Node, and a little thing called Redis, which is like a sort of caching, quick access database type thing. So we're going to use that, and that's going to be like where we securely store data. So that's kind of the reasons you'd use this, not just use some local storage or something like that. You'd use this because say for example you want to securely store the data, right? You don't want to be storing it anywhere really where it can be accessed by some JavaScript code or something like that. Like, obviously nothing's unhackable really. Like, there's probably a way to solve everything if you really wanted to, or find everything if you really wanted to. But anyway, the point is Redis allows you to sort of offload this problem and put some data in the cloud, store it, and then access it quickly when you need it. That's when sessions happen. That's kind of how we're going to implement it anyway. Obviously, it can be used for many other things. I'll leave an article in the description as well on other things it can be used for, because there is a lot. But purely for this, we're going to be using it to store key value pairs. That's kind of what it's for. And we're going to use it to store session data. So I think my screen's recording, which is not, so now it will be. There we go, we can start. What we're going to do then is, first I'm going to quickly just show you guys the sort of plan of what we're going to build here, because I have put something together because I was prepared. So what we have is the smiley face, obviously, is the user, keeping it simple, very simple. This is pure enterprise architectural designs going on here. So we're going to use the Node React Redux thing app. I've got a boilerplate that I've created for this. I'm going to use that. It also has a mock product service, so we're going to sort of create basically all we're going to do on the React side of things is we're going to create a simple product section where they can add products to a basket. This is what I'm thinking anyway. And then, so we'll have a basket type component or a cart component. We're going to have a product component, and products can get added to carts, etc. And then that's kind of what we're going to store in Redis, and then we're going to be able to close your browser and come back again, and then you're going to be able to open it and continue from where you left off, because your cart data will still be there. So a good example of where you can see this in practice is if you go onto Amazon and you add something to your basket on Amazon and then just leave, go away and come back, and you'll find it's still there. Even if you log out and log back in again, it'll still be there. And that's because the persistent basket thing, which is pretty much what we're going to create here. So to do this is the architecture we're going to do. So we're going to have a Redis data store, as I mentioned. We're going to have the Node and Redux React app. There's going to be a server-side rendered app. If you don't know what that means, it's basically where the pages and the JavaScript's rendered on the server and then sent to the browser, rather than the browser rendering all the JavaScript and running all the JavaScript. It's good for performance and SSO. SSO? Yeah, SSO. No, not SSO, SEO. Got there eventually. But anyway, so yeah, we're going to create this. The React app's going to call the mock product service to get some product data to pre-fill all the products and show some products to a user. Then when the user selects them, they're going to get stored into Redis. Well, they're going to go into the cart, and then we'll kind of figure that bit out. A bit vague. I've got some idea how we're going to do it, but we'll implement it as we go along. So with that said, let's actually get a bit set up here and get on with this. So if we go to Redis Labs, you're going to want to go here to redislabs.com, and you want to sign up. Basically, we want to log in, and you want to, okay, this isn't right. I'm going to sign with this. but you want to sign in or sign up in my case, or your case, sorry, I need to sign in. And then we're going to want to go and select the Essentials package, which will give you the 30 megabytes free cloud data stuff, which is perfect for this. Obviously select whichever AWS, or if you want GCP, you can use Google Cloud too. I'm going to just, for this, stick with AWS and just go with West EU, I think. Yes, that would make sense to me. You guys obviously choose which one. You guys choose which one is closest to you. I'm going to, hopefully, I'm going to say Redis tut. Why not? Select free and continue. And then obviously just go through the process of setting this up. Drink my drink. Got to keep hydrated. I'll just say Redis tutorial again. Redis tut, why not? Go through, activate this, and then done, save it. You can come back to this later because we're not going to need this for a bit anyway now. But just get it set up. So the next thing I want to do is open up the thing I've basically created here, which is this simple app. I'll leave the link for this in the description. It'll be a GitHub repo. Just clone it, run npm install, and then you're ready to go basically. So what we're going to do here is we're going to create a endpoint for our front end app part, so the React bit and the Redux bit, to call to get the data for the products. So to do that, we're going to make use of this product file that I've created. This is going to be just our service, because I want to concentrate on the sort of Redis part of this and the cart part and how that works, which is why we're just going to set up some stuff in this and keep this quite basic and not bother creating a service or an API call or anything. We're just going to simply get it from this JSON object that I've hard coded in here with some data. So to actually access this, we're going to create an endpoint in our server file. I'm going to just create it in here. So in all honesty, you should not do this. You should be creating it in something like the API file. In fact, we'll probably move it into there later, but for now I just want to get it created in here so we have some sort of like structure and scaffolding to build around. So we'll start with app.get. Let's create a really simple way of doing this. So we're going to just say /version 1.0 /products. We'll just do that for now, and that'll be the getting all of our products. And then we're going to just give it a request and a response, and then you can do this like that. And res.send. In fact, we probably should wrap this in a try catch. Actually, no, we don't need to wrap this in a try catch in this case. We also need to import the products. So we're using ES6 in this setup, so we can do this. We can just say import products from, I'm getting used to this keyboard, from dash, I think it's dash data dash products. So once we've got that, we can then get the products, and then we can just say res.send, and we'll just send the products in a JSON object, actually res.json, and we'll just send the products, and then just send products like so. And also, just for good measure, just stick a status on the end of that and just say 200. There we go. So that's what we'll do with that. Let's quickly just test this. Run npm run dev, and we shall go from there. So one thing to mention whilst it's starting, and we're going to use it in a minute, I think, is I've also installed Material UI into this package, so we can make use of that, just to create a quick boilerplate and quick way of templating out some cart stuff. We're going to use some of the things that come with that. We'll get to that in a second though. So let's quickly just, I think it's running. Yes, it is. Listening on port 3000. Okay. Is this it? Okay. Okay, good. If we just quickly go then /product or /v1.0 /products, use this. Cool, so it's there. Alright, great. So we can use this now to call from the front end. So now that we've done that, let's go forward and start creating a product component. So inside the components folder, I want to create a new folder called products. Perfect. In there, another file called index.js. And we're going to just make a reusable functional component in here. I'm going to just nick this code from inside of this and just change it up. And then we're going to call this inside of that. So, to be honest with you, actually, we don't really need any of this. We'll just get rid of this, get rid of this. And we're going to just start building the skeleton, and then we'll bring material UI into this as well in a second. So we'll just say export default const product equals callback, like so. What have I done? Export const. There we go. Export const product, and we're going to pass in some props. We'll probably pass in an ID, name. I can't remember what the heck was on that product object now. ID, name, image, price. Okay, so image, we'll just call it URI or URL. URK, why not? Price, and I think there was a description. Let's just double check that. I can't remember when I did this now. So I did create this with the idea of using it here. We'll create a description, but we'll give it a lowercase d because this is better. Then inside here we'll create a return, sorry. And like that. And for now I'm just going to stick a div in here because we're going to put material UI in this in a second. So let's continue on with that. Quickly just get the material UI stuff. So we're going to use a material UI card component. So let's quickly just have a look at the documentation on that because I had a brief look at it. I mean, you might have noticed there's some things I've sort of had a look at here, like tiny things. After this, we're completely on our own. I've not looked at any of it, so we'll see how this goes, basically. I mean, this is getting interesting. So let's have a look. So I want to look for a material card. See if we can get a good card with an image. I think there was one we can use. It's got like decent stuff for us. So we could possibly use this. Oh, okay, no, that's too much. We don't really want that. This is not too bad, actually. You can probably just... Okay, interesting. What's the difference between this one and this one? Are they both the same, or am I losing my mind? Okay, well, we can use one of these anyway. We can just replace this share with like a price maybe, and then make this the add to cart, title, some text and an image. This could work quite well. Okay, let's use this then. Let's just quickly open this up and take a look at the code. They have a TypeScript version as well. Let's just have a look at this. I don't think we're going to use a TypeScript version for this, but just interesting. Sort of a sidetrack there, so sorry about that. Right, so let's take this and include this code in our component. So if we just take that, go back here, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just paste this. Do you know what? I'm going to paste this underneath for now, and I'm going to... Where's it gone? Ah, okay, cool. What we'll just clean this up. So we'll get rid of this, export here, and we'll remove these imports and move them up, delete that, and remove this return. And then now we're looking like we have ourselves a nice component here. Let's just give ourselves some tab in there, and also repaste those imports in here, get rid of the ones we don't need. To be honest, we don't really need this one because we need the component parts. We can just get rid of that. Make styles, yes, 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 yes. Okay. Now, what I think we'll do quickly is we'll actually just render this product inside of our app component just to have a look at it and see what it's doing, make sure it's working okay, and then make some changes. So we could just import the product think it has a capital P. If it doesn't have a capital P, then we're going to just go and give it one. And we're going to import that from, no, not that file, from products. I might rename this to product actually. Okay, why is it whiny? This from, oh yeah, that would make sense. Okay, so let's do that. Let's also just make that product, and also I'm going to rename this to product because it makes sense. Okay, cool. So let's quickly just render this underneath this license stuff here. To be honest with you, we can probably just remove this. We don't need it. I don't plan on using it either. So let's just get rid of that. And let's just include the product in here. Okay. Save it. Is it going to give us any errors? Yes. Product was not found. Okay, that must mean I did not name this properly. I'm presuming no, I did not. So there we go, product. Save that. Let's now hope. Okay, localhost, get rid of all this stuff. Let's just go there. Okay. Admittedly, there's no image, which is understandable considering I don't think we have an image. But we have a card, which is a good start, so we can use this and turn this into a product type card. So let's quickly just make some changes to this then, and do that. So what I wanted to do is this image, we'll just change this. Instead of using this, we're going to use the proper passing in, which I believe is image URL, so we'll use this. Oh, whoops. So we'll take that and we'll put that here, and then we'll also go to the price and description. Yeah, we're just literally going to take all of these. Is there an ID on here? If not, we'll give it one in a minute because we'll need it. Wrap it in a div or something and give it an ID, but we'll get to that in a second anyway. Let's just take the name and put that where title is, because let's just see what's rendering that as. Lizard, something reptile. Oh, okay, no, that's just part of the media title, I presume. It's probably doing that. Yeah, okay, so we don't need to worry about that yet. We'll just, actually, no, we will just make that the same as the name. Oh, what have I done here? Okay, name, perfect. And what we're going to do here as well is also make this name. Make this the description. I'll copy it. I can't bother to type it out. We'll be here all day. Description, perfect. I'm also going to take price, and I'm going to stick that in this button. I'm going to change this button to typography. And then we'll just say add to cart here. Add to cart. I don't know why I do this capitalization of words, but I do, so we're going to keep that in because why not, and I quite like it, so there we go. We'll also take this typography, I'm going to make this typography here, and then I'm going to change the variant and take this stuff. I'm going to just, yeah, take this. Oh, what have I done? Control C. I'm going to basically put that in there, take that, and also make it a component. Okay, actually, this makes a bit of sense. Let's just take this. Doesn't really matter what it looks like. It's not what we're doing here. Okay, save. Now it should render it, probably with nothing in. Yeah, that makes sense. Delete this and actually wrap that in there. I've just realised that we didn't do that properly. Okay, perfect. Right, I kind of run out of Diet Coke and I'm generally quite sad by that. I was enjoying it. Anyway, so now we've kind of got this sorted out. It's convenient. I think what we'll do as well actually is for this add to cart button, we're going to add a on add to cart. I think we'll do that because we want to handle that. Or add to cart click. We'll have that. And we'll use that later to actually pass down a function to make this do something. That's kind of what we'll do with that. Okay. Cool. So we've done the add to cart, we've done the name, description, price. Let's actually go and dynamically put some data in this a second. Not dynamically, but version 1.0, let's just test it with some data we've got before we go and implement a sort of structure or a page or something to put all of these products in and render the products and make an API call. So let's just grab this first record ID, which goes all the way to this. Okay, what we're going to do then is inside of our app, I'm going to just paste this up here a second and then we can get rid of that. Okay, so I want to pass in a name, which we'll actually do this properly in a second, but just for now, for the sake of this, so we can actually test it. I actually kind of want all the quote, don't I? Okay, cool. Get the image as well. Just want that URL. Okay. Oh, don't want that image URL. Let's just save that. What is it doing? Oh yeah, comment this out. Just to copy that. Okay, what does it look like? Oh, it's fine. Okay, let's get rid of this. And I'm presuming it's gonna have, yeah, so an add to cart button, some stuff based on what we're giving it. That's fine. Okay, great. So what we'll do is we will, yeah, keep going. So why not? Let's add some more stuff in here. So I'm also going to add in the rest of this quickly and just fill it out, and then we can move on and actually make this dynamic and render it based on an API call. So we'll just say price equals this, and we'll do it properly in a minute. Okay, description equals this. Okay. Perfect. Right. Doesn't like this, does it? Reference hierarchy is not defined. Oh, good point. No, does not like that idea. Cool. Right. Okay, so now we have this rustic steel cheese, which is apparently some really poor looking Porsche that's 940, and we have an add to cart button. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're actually going to take this data that we've got, we're going to dynamically do this, make an API call, etc., and do all of that stuff and take care of that. I took a bit of a break earlier, so I'm back again. It's so hot I had to wait, so it's now 6 o'clock. I've decided it's a good time to start again. I'm going to keep drinking my water as well. Also, you'll notice that the Porsche has now become a yellowy sort of plane, which apparently the images we seem to have keep dynamically rendering. So they're like test images or test mock data I got from some website thing somewhere. So just gonna have to accept that our products change, but the picture changes, but the product doesn't. So yeah, accept that. But anyway, let's carry on with what I said we were going to do and get into the Axios part of this and actually render our products dynamically and get all that data from our endpoint we created. So let's do that. So let's quickly just jump into the code. What we're going to do here is, I've already kind of semi got prepared on this. So what we're going to do is just go into our Redux stuff. We need to create an action, types, etc. to be able to do this properly. So we're going to create a new folder. we're going to just quickly create I'll create an actions folder and we'll call it products, okay? And then inside of this, we'll create a new file which we'll just call products. Well, I think get data. I think, yeah, I want to follow the approach of the other ones. So we'll just do that. Copy products, and we'll paste it into that. Sorry, copy get data and paste it into products. I also want to create a new copy of the index.js file and put that in there too. And we'll go into there quickly and just change this to get product data so that we can actually export this out and use it properly. And also inside of this we need to create our action, but we'll do the type first. We'll leave this the same. Okay. I don't want some of this stuff. I'll come back to that actually in a second. You just create the types. So new file, product.js, itchy head. And then inside of this, we're going to copy the code from here, put it inside of there. I'm really tired, guys. I've just realised that, so just bear with me and power through as I am. Product types, or product types. We'll have that. Doesn't make much logical sense, to be honest with you, actually, but we're just skeleting this out, building a skeleton, sorry, so just for now it's okay. We'll come back and fix this stuff up. Anyway, let's go back to our get data. So what we want to do in here is make Axios call. Also want to change this to dash product at the top. Yeah, so we want to make an Axios call inside of this so we can actually get the data. So first we actually need to install Axios because I didn't include it in this package, in this this Git library. So npm I Axios dash save Dave save. Okay, not today. npm I Axios dash save. There we go. Right, perfect. So let's install that. Add that in, and whilst that's happening, we'll quickly just write out the code for this. So we'll quickly just import Axios at the top, like that. Okay, have I done this right? No, apparently not. Import Axios from Axios. What have I done wrong here? Okay, maybe I haven't just put it in this. Or I actually don't know. Maybe it just doesn't like me today. Maybe it just didn't know it was. Oh, I thought it's in. I don't know. Okay, that's fine. Back to this. So let's just quickly comment this out actually, this promise part, because we don't really need that for now, and also just comment this out as well. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to just make the Axios call. So Axios dot, oh actually no, we want to return it, don't we? Return Axios dot get, and then we're going to make a call to localhost 3000. We also need to put HTTP in front of this so it will work properly. Localhost 3000 backslash products backslash v 1.0 backslash products, like this. And then we want to also execute the promise, so response equals, and then we want to just have a dispatch in here. We dispatch the event, or the action, I mean, sorry. Give it a type, and then type of res dot data. Is there the types it has inside the types file. So if you have a look in here, I'll just show you where that's coming from. So you'll notice here we have this, and that's how we're getting that inside of the products. So that's that. We also need to pass it some data. So if we give it some data, and we'll just say response dot data, and it will come back with the products as well, I think. So we need to do this. That might be wrong though, so we can check that in a short while. So this should now work. Let me just check the code. Yep, that should work. I think. I hope. Okay, so dispatching the event. Yeah, that should work. Right, let's try the next one. So now what we do is actually go into the reducers and create a reducer for this. So I'm going to quickly just go in here. I'm going to copy the about one as well, because it just makes sense to copy the about one as it's there. New file, products.js. And then we're going to types dash products. Products, yeah. And then this should all be fine as it is actually. Yeah, that's fine. Then we can just go into the index file, and inside of this we can just import products from dash products, and then pass this into our state, and then that's that part done. That's also the action setup. So now we need to actually go into, I'm going to quickly again rob some code from where they've done the imports for this. I say they. This is like a boilerplate. So yeah, so what we're going to do quickly is just take some other code from inside of a container about. We're going to just quickly steal this from in here and do the same thing that's in here for our components. So I'm going to quickly do this in app component just so we can test this, but we're going to inevitably have something else and connect it with that instead. So what I want to do inside of here is just import this at the top, and we're just going to have, not from this, but dash products. Oh dear, I have a B in my recording area. This could be interesting, guys. Get product data, so that's that. Then what we want to do is we also want to return this state, so we want to say products is equal to state.products. That should do that nicely, and then we want to map this in here as well. So I want to say, I'm going to just do the same thing as this in this, like that, and that should work. Let me just double check, I'm not 100% sure if we need this. I don't think we do. Redux action products. Okay, get product data was not found in here. Okay, why is this the case? Let's have a look. Actions, products, get data. Okay, get product data. I'm not finding Redux actions. Interesting. This will default as. Oh, really? Oh, didn't save it. That's probably why. There we go. Simple fix. Okay, so now I want to quickly just go to this container, the about one again, and I want to quickly make sure that's the same. Yeah, I don't need this. Okay, cool. So we can quickly just go back to the the container, and I can just quickly get rid of that function because we don't need it. So let me just show you this quickly. Go in, no, not in here. I wanted to go inside of, where am I going? Wow, it's been a long day. Don't need this. There we go. Okay, cool. And then to actually display some data now and make this work, we're going to quickly just go into the app component, and I'm going to basically just call it in a lifecycle hook quickly so that we can test that the data's coming, and then we'll go on to actually create the products wrapper, which will call this action and pass the data down to products and map it to a product list of products. So let's quickly just this dot props, as we can now get it from the props dot, oh, that should now be there. Dispatch, and then we will probably have to have a dot then on this as well. Just, in fact, we're going to have a dot then on it anyway, because I just want to console log out once that's fired, the props, this dot props, and hopefully this should actually work quite nicely now, and if it does, we can all have a bit of a celebration. Okay, so if you just open F12, debug mode, ignore this error, not really sure what it is at the moment. Okay, so it's not worked. Cannot read property data. Okay, why have I got rec underscore data? What have I done wrong? I probably capitalized data somewhere, haven't I? Get data. Cannot read data in get data. Okay, that would make sense. I'm presuming it's going to be this one. Data rec underscore, oh, res dot, okay, that's why. Doesn't make sense. It's not an action. Act as if it's an object. Hopefully now we should be in business, and this should work. There we go, it's worked. So it's called it properly, and you can see here now that we have some products, and we can now use these products going forward in the next part, where we can actually dynamically now create a wrapper for all of these and then map these product cards we've created to these products, and boom, we're well on our way. So now we've done that, done the Axios part, we're going to now carry on, and we're going to create a way of just loading in all the data and creating all the products from that. So what we're going to do in here is now quickly, because I want to actually get onto the Redis part. I've realised we're not on that bit yet, and we're quite far into this, but I guess it's all part of it, so yeah, we'll do that. So what we're going to do now is we're going to basically, I was going to create a products wrapper, but I think just for the purpose of this, because we should be focusing on the Redis part, etc., I'm going to just put them inside the app file and just use that as the wrapper for now. So as we've already set it up, we might as well. So what we're going to do in that case is inside of here, we're now going to, well actually no, first let's create some state first. I'm just going to do this quickly. I know there are about 40 better ways to do this, but just because we need to get onto the main reason we're here. So I'm going to just create a constructor and do the usual stuff. Pass in some props, do this, and then have super, call that, and then, oh, don't need that. And then under this, just have this dot state equals that, and then quickly have some products in here, which is going to be set to an empty array. Then what we're going to do on this is on the callback part of this, we're going to simply set the state, this dot set state products, and it's going to be equal to this dot props dot, oh, this dot props dot products, and that's what we'll do there. So that will do that for us. Then we now need to map the products. So if we come down here quickly, and we'll just take this out, and we'll just do this dot state dot products dot map, and then we're going to map a product. In fact, we'll actually use in this because I want to get a key as well, so we can use this as a way of getting that. So product I for like a key reference equals, and then we're going to simply just put here products with a capital P, so we can actually render our component, our product component, and then we'll just have in here dot 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 product, so it takes in the data from that. This is basically just taking in the data from this and passing it in, and then it will map it inside for us, as we already configured it earlier. This is called a spread operator, by the way, if you don't know what that is. I'll actually leave some links in the description for a lot of the things, like bonus stuff, like spread operators, some of the other things I mentioned earlier. I'll have a little post in there just for everyone to get some extra information from. So anyway, yeah, let's carry on. Also, we're going to add a key, actually, before I forget. So we do this, we're going to have the key, we're going to just pass in that I value. So this will just give it a value of 1, 2, 3 every time it iterates. And then that should do that, and this should actually work. Just don't think I'm missing anything. Looks good to me. Making an API request, we're setting this stuff here. Cool. Just press refresh. Okay. Okay, it's not having any images. Why is it not got the images? Okay, yeah, I know. It's because we mapped inside of this, okay, it maps to an image, so it's giving an image part in, and we have an image URL in our product component. So we need to quickly just go back into our product component, change this here to image, like that. Oh, Control C. In fact, we don't actually need the ID, we can get rid of that, come to think of it, whilst we're here too. And then we'll just take the image and we'll pass that into the image URL, or image. There we go. And that should now, if we refresh this, render our images. There we go. Now we've done this, we've got everything set up, let's try and tidy this up a little bit and add a navbar maybe, and then we can start to think out the basket part of this and go from there. So let's basically just take this product selection stuff we currently have here, and let's try and make it like some form of display. Try and make it like this. Yeah, so it looks like this. Now I think Google has like a box thing similar to what Bootstrap has with like containers. I think they have on their material UIs, we're sticking with that now, yeah they do, box, which I think we can just shove that stuff in a box, and I think it will, container maybe, or container box, I think, pretty sure it's a box, and you can like specify a display in them. Let's just see if there's a bit more information on this. Okay. Interesting. Import box from that. I think you can do this. Let's try it quickly. Just put that there and then replace this div with a box like this, and the same here. Oh, okay. Just magically decided it wanted to appear there. And I'll move this code out of there and into here. Tidy this up. Okay, we're getting there. Let's just see if it does have a display. I think it does have a display. You can just say flex like that. I think this will work. I hope it will work. It'd be nice if it did. Ah, very nice. Okay, that's fine. So we just have this. I'm not really bothered about the fact there's no space between them. I just, at least we know it's products, right? Like we know it's some form of products. So we'll just, I don't know, give it a heading as well, maybe. I'm just gonna give it H1 and just say product. There we go. So now we have some products displaying properly. We have a product component that we can use, which we're going to use for a lot of things. Okay, great. So let's just not put this inside the box. That's my solution to this, because honestly, right now, it does not matter overly for us. This won't like that because I've now done this, where I put it outside of a single container, which React likes, so I shall just put that back in. So getting there, just tidy this up. There we go. Right, and now what we're going to do is get a navbar in here. I think let's actually have something where we can put like a cart or a basket or something on, so that we can actually perform the checkout stuff. So there we go, we've got a nice product sort of selection now. Nothing too fancy here, just some products and add to cart buttons, which will make work at some point. For now, we're going to just create quickly, well, not create, we'll just add in like an app bar or something. I'm pretty sure I've used Material UI before, so that has been a while. So we can just go into components, and I'm going to quickly check. I was already in it. It's been a long day. Navigation menus, I'm pretty sure there's an app bar somewhere. Surfaces, here we go. This will do, this one. We can just change this, maybe look for an icon or something and put it over here. Let's just take this code and create an app bar component, and or navigation component actually. So let's do that. In fact, let's just create another component folder. We'll call it navigation. And inside of this, we'll create a new file called nav.js, and also, in fact, I'm not going to just conform with that weird style they're doing there, just index.js, we don't need this. I'm literally going to just export nav, and that's going to be what we have here. I'm also going to just make this ES6 actually, just because it would be better to do that, right? So export const nav equals, and then there we go. We'll make that, do that, and then we'll quickly go and get it in a second. Yeah, we'll make some changes here, I think. So let's quickly go and do this. So I want to import my nav first so that we can actually use this in our app. So I'm going to import again, so import nav, which we can now put inside this like that, from dot dash, or dot dash navigation, and then above this we're going to just have the nav like that. Okay, what have I done here? Cannot resolve, cannot find module, icons menu, okay, and cannot find, okay, just doesn't like this icon menu thing, which, to be fair, I'm not really 100% sure why it's doing this. Have I not included it at the top? Icon, menu icon, and it's saying icon slash menu. Okay, it's fine, I'll just get rid of it, to be honest with you. And then just quickly, menu icon, where's it rendering there? It's fine, I don't want it anyway, to be honest with you. So we'll get rid of that. And that should solve that simple problem. Okay, great. So we'll just have some simple baskets to plan. Okay, good. So we now have this menu. We also have all this stuff going on. Okay. Because the div is in the width, it's not set to 100%. Probably. Okay, well that's fine anyway. Let's not mess around with that. So let's actually make this do some stuff now. So let's replace this login button thing with like a cart or some form of cart icon type thing. So if we go in here, there must be some icon stuff. I mean, I know it didn't say we didn't have any icons, but I'm presuming there's like an updated icon type library we can use. And then we can just put like an icon button in that top corner. And like an icon button, that makes no sense. Change this login and just put a simple some form of, I don't know, basket type thing in there. There's probably a basket one. I hope. Maybe not. Okay. Well, what we'll do for now is we'll just leave it like that. I just change it to basket. I'll add a basket icon later. Okay, let's get rid of this because we don't need it, to be honest with you, or this icon button thing. Let's just keep it very basic and have that. I think this may move. Okay, basket's now going to be over here, that's fine. The point is, a basket's present that we can do something with now. This is going to take us to a basket, and we're going to set that up next. We're also going to add these to carts, so we want to create some way of doing that. So the best thing to do with this is we're going to create another action that's going to allow us to do this. So we'll add stuff to cart, and then we'll go from there. Previously we've created our app. Let me just get it up. Right, so previously we've created this glorious thing, and now we're going to actually need to use Redis for something so that we can add stuff to a cart. So to do this, we need to create some endpoints in our server which will have Redis functionality in it, which we then hit every time we want to either add something, or we want to update, or we want to remove something from the basket. So to do this, we're going to quickly just go in and start creating some Redis functions. So let's quickly just open up a new terminal and install Redis --save. Yeah. And whilst that's happening, I'm going to quickly create a new folder in the server called Redis as well. And so what we're going to do in here is just create some functions that we can export, and then we're going to use those functions in our endpoints when we create those on the server. So to do this, first we need to create a connection and a way of connecting. So let's quickly just create that. So if we create a constant called Redis, so equal to Redis, or require Redis. Then what we want to do is now create a connections, or a client, create client. So const client equals redis.create connection. Something like this. Okay, redis.create, there we go. Create client, my bad. And then in here, we're now going to want to quickly go and open up the Redis Labs website again, log in. You want to go to the database that we created, go to configuration, and then we grab this endpoint. So what we're going to need to do is take this and use it for the Redis, which requires two parameters. It requires a port and a host. So we'll quickly just put those in. So the host is going to be a string, and it's going to be the URL we just copied minus the endpoint, which is minus the port number, sorry, which is this bit at the end here. You'll also notice it's here too. It's a bit of a bonus for you. So yeah, once we've done that, we now have created the basis for the client. We now need to authenticate the client and pass the password so that we can actually use the methods and functions that come with this and access Redis. So you want to do client.auth, which is this, and then we want to give it a password, which again will be the password that's in here. So I'm going to use this one like that, and this will give us some sort of callback. The thing is with the this old Redis stuff is it's built off of old callback functionality, so there's not really any promises or awaits you can do with this, which is going to make it a bit more complicated, but we'll have to find a way around that. So we'll go with this and just see how it goes for a minute. So error reply equals like this. So we want to say, well, if not error, and then we want to console.log the reply. Okay, so let's just quickly test this file to make sure we're actually getting a connection. So to do this, we're going to want to cd into our source file, cd into the server. Okay, apparently I can't spell, which would help. Server cd into Redis that we created, and then there's an index file in here. There should be. Okay. Oh, okay, right. We put this in our file. Let's remove this from here. Actually, create a file inside Redis. Call it index.js. Put this inside of there. Save that, and then I did good. And then we're going to want to just run node index, and it should return an OK for the connection. So now we've done that, we can actually start to create some code whereby we actually create a basket, we add stuff to baskets, update baskets, all that sort of thing. So I'm going to call it a cart because I don't know, just like it. So we'll create cart. So what we'll do is create a function or a constant called add to cart, and that's going to take in some parameters which we'll give it in a second. So what we're going to do is with this, we're going to basically have 3 functions that I'm planning on using. One to remove stuff from cart, one to add to cart, and one to get the cart. So the add to cart is going to sort of act as the updating and the initialization. So the reason for this is because Redis is weird in how it works. It has key values, so it has one key and then a string. You have to store it as a string, which means we have to stringify the JSON objects for the cart in a second. But because of this way that Redis works and the fact it just overrides the data, you have to get the data first when you update something, and then append, like convert the string back to JSON, append something to that, and then convert it back to a string again, and then pass it in. So we'll go into that process now and start doing that. So let's start by actually, what we want to do before we do this is, because we're relying on that get to cart method, right? So get cart, sorry. So we'll do a constant called get cart, and again we'll set this equal to this. So eventually we're going to be using the key, the value that the cart is stored against. We're going to be using that as a session ID, so the value will be a session ID. So basically it's going to end up looking something like this when it's stored. I could just type it out, so it'll be like the key is going to be a session ID or something like that, right? And then the value, or the value associated with that, is going to be our cart that's going to be stringified. So that's kind of how it's going to work. So what we'll do here is we'll just pass in a session ID like this, and then we will we're going to pass in, actually yeah, just a session ID for this. So now we can go and use the client.get method that Redis provides, which takes in a string and a callback. But again, we're going to need to make this a promise because we want this to be something that will wait to resolve. So we'll return new promise and resolve reject like that. And what have I done wrong? Return, apparently spelled that wrong. Return new promise. Okay, and then inside of this we'll now put this client.get. So client.get, and then we'll pass a session ID. That's the thing we want to get it by. Callback, which again is going to send an error and a value, but we're going to just say cart because we actually want to start naming this thing in a relevant way, like that. So again, if it's not an error, then we're going to want to resolve, and we're going to return the cart. So that's the initial sort of idea we have there. Okay, so this will work. We can test this quickly by running some code that's gonna put some code. Yeah, we'll run some code quickly that will set a quick value. So we'll just say client.set, and we'll run this. We'll just run some random key, which will say a, and then we'll give it a value. Ooh, a value. It has to be a string, so we'll just say 1. I mean, obviously you can actually put a number in a string, and then error reply. So once it's done that means it's now going to be stored. So we'll just say again, if not error, then I want to run that get cart. I'm going to pass in the a value, and then then the cart. I'm going to console log it out. And hopefully this should work. So there we go. So it's console logged out the cart for us, the value that we've stored. Now we've done that, we might as well carry on, do add to cart. So we'll continue with this. So inside of the add to cart, we're going to want to firstly get the cart, right? So we need to also do a promise, because we want to return a promise again from all of these, so that we can call them in our server files, etc. later on, our other server files. So we're going to return a new promise, and that's going to again have a resolve, reject, as you'd expect. Now what we want to do in here is, for this, we're going to want to pass in a session ID again, but this time we're also going to want to include an item that we want to add to our cart. And in this sense, the item is going to be the JSON object of the product, like the JSON object for one of these, and that's what's going to get passed in. So we'll include this. Then what we need to do is we need to now say, okay, right, so client, oh no, we want to now call the get cart function first, let's see if there's a cart in existence or not. So get cart, and then we're passing a session ID, so again we'll get that from the session ID above. Then that's going to give us back a cart, so we'll have that there. And then we want to say, well, if cart does not equal null, then we want to do this. So what we're going to do in here is we're now going to make a request. We're going to actually need to create a new cart first. So to do that, we need to basically say, well, const new cart, and that's going to equal an array, and the item we're going to put in the array is going to be item. So it's going to be equal to a new array with the item, because we're initializing a cart, right? There's not one that exists, so we want to create a constant with a new cart, set equal to this. Now we need to actually stringify the thing, and we need to pass it into our client.set functionality. So now what we want to do is you want to say client.set, and again we're going to pass in the string value, but this time we're going to set it to the session ID as well. So we'll set it to the session ID, then we're going to pass in the JSON.stringify, and we're going to pass the new cart, and then we're going to again have a callback here with an error and a result, but we'll say stored so that we can use it. So it makes more sense for us. And then we're going to want to say, well, if it's stored, then what we want to do is we want to resolve, and we're going to resolve a couple of things. We're going to send back a JSON object firstly, and we're going to say stored true, and then I also want to send back the value of stored, which is just going to be okay. So that's what we'll do there. For now, it might actually make sense for us to send back the new cart, get the cart again here and send this back, but for now we're not going to do that. We'll just keep it like this. We'll see how it goes. We may need to do this. I'm thinking in my mind we may not to, and I'll explain why later. So anyway, so client.set, this is fine. So then what we want to do, okay, so if there is a cart, then we want to take the cart and we want to basically add the new item to the cart, right? So the cart will be stringified, as you can see on line 19, which is fine because it needs to be, otherwise Redis will throw an error. So now what we can do is say, well, else, we now want to take the cart, because there's a cart in existence, and stringify it. So we'll create a new constant called past cart, and we'll just set this equal to JSON.pass, and we'll pass the cart in. So now we have access to this again. And now what we can do is we can say, well, past cart, and then we'll say dot item. I think it will be, oh no, it won't be dot items, it'll just dot push. There we go, so dot push, I just want to push a new item onto the array. So in our case, the item that we're sending, so we'll just pass that onto the array. And then what we want to do is now take the past cart and we want to convert it back. So what we now need to do is just simply again, client.set again, and we're going to again pass in session ID, and we're going to pass in JSON.stringify, and we're just going to stringify the past cart like so, and again there'll be a callback with an error, and stored is what we're going to call it. So it's just a reply, it'll just be the OK. So if stored, then we'll do this. We'll say resolve, same as above. Actually, we'll just copy this. I want to just copy this for now, paste that in here. Okay, so let's actually try this quickly and see if it works okay. So what we can now do is, sorry, I don't know why I did that. What we can now do is try this out. So we'll add to cart, we'll try it down here. So if we quickly just comment this out, and we'll write some code, we'll just say, well, add to cart. So we need to pass in a session ID, so we'll just give it a session ID of J. Why not? Close to my fingers. And then item. So we'll give it an item. We'll give it an ID of 1. We'll give it a name, or actually, yeah, that's what we called it in the other thing. Name, we'll say some cheese. And we'll give it some other property of just weight. I don't know. String again, 250 grams of cheese. And then we will dot then on this, and then we'll get back a result as to whether it was stored or not, but we'll just say result for now, and I'll change this to something more logical in a minute. And then we'll console log out log the result, but then I also want to see what we've stored. So after that, we're going to then also say, well, get cart, and let's just have a look at the cart that's now stored as a result of what we've done, so we can just check that quickly it's going to work. And we'll just log that out like this. So now we can hopefully run this code, and it should work. Okay, type error, cannot read property, push of null. Okay. Cart does not equal null. Oh, why is it doing that? Past cart dot push dot then cart. Could be because cannot read property of null, push of null. It doesn't exist, or what have I done here? Add to cart, J. If cart does not equal null, well, it should equal null because it doesn't exist. So let's console log out cart a second and see what we're getting back here, because this is interesting. We're getting back null. If cart does not equal null, logic's wrong. Should be equal null. There we go. Got there eventually. Right. It would throw an error. Right. Okay. Stored. The value is true. That's fine. For some reason, it doesn't want to get our cart, which is kind of worrying. Let's just get a cart again. A minute before we do this. Get cart. Oh, I know why. Then, and inside this, we need to actually pass in the value of the cart we want to get. We've forgotten some quite obvious things here. It's been a long day, alright guys. So yeah. Oh my. Get cart. Where have I done that? Line 55. Oh, fair enough. There we go. So now we have two. It's working because it's done this, as you can see. I mean, this wasn't intentional because of the errors, but so the first time we did it, it did store just one value, and you can see that. So it means it's come into this code here, it's run this block, and it's exited and stored the value. And the second time we passed in another one again, but we're building this simply now, so we're not taking into account things like that. But again, you can see it's now put those in there, and there's now two items inside of that. And just for the sake of it, we're going to add some more data in so that we can use it in a minute to be able to build the next function. So we've got some cheese, let's have some ham, why not? And let's have 250 grams of ham as well. And then I think we'll add some bread in after, and we can have like a cheese and ham sandwich. So let's add some bread. Not really too fussed about the bread, but you know, we're also going to keep it 250 grams because it's a nice measurement, and we like 250 grams here in the UK apparently. Everything's 250 grams, come to think of it. Coffee, peanuts, anything. Yeah, so that's cool. So we've got this. I've noticed we've got a couple of the same ID in here actually, so I'm going to just change the ID of this one to 4 and then quickly just run this again so we've got some other stuff. There we go. So now we've got a ton of data in this cart, so this guy's having a proper good feast. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to comment this code out, and we're going to write the next function, which is going to be to remove an item from the cart. So again, to do this, we need to be able to first get the cart, then we have to remove an item by ID, so we'll use something like .filter to do that. So let's quickly do this. So I'm going to create a constant again, and I'm going to call this a function, well, I'm going to call this remove cart, remove from cart. And we're going to do this by an ID. So again, we're going to have a session. Oh, hello. We're going to have a session ID. Oh dear. Oh dear. Right, session ID. And we're going to have, we want to take the past cart and we're going to filter it based on the ID and then create a new cart from that. So what we'll do is we'll say const new cart is equal to past cart dot filter, and then we'll now pass in an item, and then we're going to say return, if the item will have an ID property. So as you can see there, so we'll say, well, if item.id is equal, or does not equal, actually, you want to return if it doesn't equal the item ID, or the ID that we pass in. Yeah, so if item.id does not equal ID, then we're going to return item. That should do that. Yeah, that's right. And then what we want to do is, again, we actually need to wrap this in a promise, which we haven't done yet. So return new promise again. I'll probably start skipping these bits out. I think you've got the idea of me creating a promise by now. We'll just move this inside of the promise. And then, again, once this is done and we've created our cart, our new cart, again, now what we want to do is get the cart. We want to do the client.set again. So we want to say client.set, and now we're going to set the new returned cart via session ID again. So pass that in, and then we're going to JSON, I'll keep doing that, JSON.stringify the new cart, and a callback with an error and a success or not. Oh, hello. There we go. If success, then I want to resolve the promise, and I'm going to, for now I'm going to resolve the promise as well and just pass back the same as we're doing up here. And that's it. Or actually, we'll change it to stored, because that makes a lot more logical sense. Stored success. I guess we could debate that, but there we go. Let me know what you think in the comments. Okay, cool. So if stored, then resolve the promise, and we can then use this now. So this should work as it is. Let's just quickly reread the logic again. New cart, it does not like the new cart. Is it out of scope or something here? What does it think is going on? Yeah, it is. So we need to move that. There we go. Yes. Okay, yeah, that should now work. So what we're going to do is we're going to quickly, in fact, we'll actually also, just for the purposes of this, I want to get the cart again after we've done this, just to test it. So I want to get the cart by the session ID again, and then I'm going to dot then cart console.log and cart, and I'm going to say cart after remove item removal. Right, and now what we want to do is test this, and then hopefully we'll be in a good position and all our functions will work, and fingers crossed on that. This will be a much easier, smoother ride. So we currently have J, which we know down here, so we'll just call this, we'll just pass it in the session ID of J, and we'll pass in a ID, or an ID, sorry, of, is this right? Lowercase j or uppercase j? Not really matters. I'm going to just copy the J from there just to make sure, because, you know, I'm now kind of a bit skeptical. And also an ID of, we'll just say, there's a lot of ones, so let's just use something where there's not. So let's say 4, because it's the one that's on its own, so it should return back all the rest of the stuff. And then dot then, and then res, and then that'll do for now. We'll just console.log the res as well. Right, let's just check the code. Yep, okay, I think this might work. Okay, so it's removed. Cart after removal, it's got free, yep, it's done it, perfect. So it's working, and that's all we need to do there. So now what we're going to do as well, we'll export these functions so that we can use them quickly. So we will quickly just delete all of this because we don't need it anymore, and add a module that exports to the bottom, and then we'll just export get cart. We'll export remove from cart, and we'll also export add to cart. Okay, so that's that part done. And now we've done that, we can create some endpoints that call these functions for us to call from the front end. So that's what we'll do next. Okay, great. So now I've exported these. One thing I do want to do actually before we continue over, I just want to quickly return this as well, which would make sense actually. I do want to return this. If it's stored, then I want to, just so that in case we may need it later, because I have not thought that bit through yet. So what we're going to do is, instead of console logging that out, we're going to just send that back, and we're also going to send the cart back to, or the new cart, or we'll call it updated cart, which makes sense, to return a value called updated cart. So we'll do that there. I also want to do that same thing in the above, where we do it here. So I want to resolve this. If it's stored, I also want to send back that. And also here, I want to do that too, so that we have that stuff saved. Okay, great. So now we've done that, let's go to our, we'll go to our index file, index.js file, and we're going to create some roots in here. We're going to move these in a minute too, but I just want to create them here for test purposes basically. So we need to create some endpoints to map to those functions we've created. So what we're going to do is, actually no, I think we will go into the roots and do it in there. So we'll just in here do module dot exports in this main roots file, and we're going to say equal to app, which is going to take in like this, okay, and then we're going to have app.get, and we're going to have inside of this, we're going to have the, what do we want to have in here? So I think, okay, so yeah, we'll just have a get cart, so we just want to have slash cart. In fact, we'll have slash version 1 again to keep up with our product API endpoint. Slash version 1 slash cart, and then that was a weird thing. Request response equals next. We also need to actually have a parameter on this I want to include, which is going to be the session ID, like that. And then here we're going to want to have a request, we're going to get the session ID, so I have a constant called session ID, and we'll set that equal to the request.params dot, and it'll be session ID, like that. And then when we want to make a request, so now we need to import these functions we created. So at the top, we're going to have to require them, I think. So we'll do const Redis equals require, and then we're going to require, that's what that long, require, there we go. And then, I'm not sure which, dash, and we want to go to Redis, and then we want to go into there and get this. And then inside of here, we will now be able to call these. We can say Redis dot, and then we want to get cart. So we'll get the cart. We'll pass in the session ID, which is going to be this. And then dot then. We're then going to have a promise to resolve. So we'll just say, well, cart equals this, and then res.json. And I want to send back the following. I want to send back a cart object, and I want to send back the status as well. So we'll do that. So we'll say, well, the cart is this, and we're also going to want to tag a status onto this. Status. Oh, yeah, that's right, 200. And what I'm also going to do here is I'm going to wrap this in a try-catch block. I think it's a good idea to do that for this. So try, we'll move this into the try-catch. And otherwise, we'll say catch. And then this gives us access to the error, to an error. So we can, we'll just use E. Oh dear, I've got a mare there. And then we can just say res.send, and we'll set res.json, and we'll send back an error, which contains the error. Oh my days, that is not fun. And dot status, and we'll give it a status code of 500, like this. Okay. That would help. Cool. So what we can also do here is we can actually go into the server, like into here, and we require, and we're going to require that module. So dot dash, we're going to go into API dash routes dash main, and then we're going to also tag in the app that needs to get passed in so that we can then access that in there. I'm also going to put this stuff after this. Actually, no, I'm going to have this here because it's the API. That's fine. Okay. I know you don't want to do that. Perfect. So that's that one done. We can get a cart by ID. So we can quickly just test this actually. We can just take the ID of J, I think this is what this was that we had. So we can just go and use that. We can go here, we can say localhost slash v1, we'll say slash cart. And then on the end of this, we'll just have J. And then there's our cart being returned to us. It's in a string, so we're going to have to obviously take this and remove that when we get it. We could actually probably do something with that because it would be nice to just have it as a string rather than sending it back like that. I think that'd be a nicer thing to do actually. So if we quickly just go to that server file in Redis index. So yeah, we'll send it back by actually updating it here. So we'll just say JSON dot pass, and we'll just pass the cart, making it a bit nicer for the server. So if we do this and then go back on here and do this again, it should now return JSON, or not. Not here. We also want to do this as well, not just there. We want to also do this same thing up here for everything, wherever we return a cart, because it would make sense to do that. So yeah, do that for everything. We then want to be able to now use this code. Okay, well we'll pass the cart anyway, it'll be useful for now. Let's just have that there. Have I missed it on the top one? Something. Oh, I know, it's because on the actual cart we're not doing it, are we? That's why. It's fine. I don't want to do that there. We'll do it inside of the endpoint then. Okay, yeah, we'll go into the server and we'll do it inside there because we've got dependency on that. So we'll go inside of the root main file, and inside of here, the cart we want to return. I'm going to do it there. Okay, so yeah, go inside of this quickly and JSON.parse the cart here. And that's that done. So now we go back and call this. There we go. So now we have a nice JSON parse cart. Okay, cool. So let's now create the next endpoint, which is going to be to delete something. For now, we'll just keep it as a get call, even though I know it does not. Just for the simplicity of this. And then we're going to give an ID on the end as well. So now we also need to create here a const ID, which is going to be equal to rec.params, params.id, and this is going to be fine. Then what we want to do here is, instead of redis.getCart, we're now going to get redis.remove from cart, and then we'll pass in the session ID as per usual and an ID, and then we'll dot then on into this, and then we get back some results. And what I'm going to do, we'll just put response actually, and I want to send this back res.json, and then we'll just say response is equal to response. Again, stick a status on the end of it, 200. Okay. So let's quickly just do this. So we want to get, and the only reason we're going to keep this as a get for now is because it's easy to do it, to test it. When we come to actually implementing this, we'll change this to an update, or to a delete, sorry. But I haven't got Postman installed, so my problem. You guys probably should change it to delete now and try it with Postman. Anyway, so what were we doing? Let's just get the cart first with J, and then let's have a look. Let's take the ID of 3 and we'll delete those. So just make sure the code's correct. So yeah, we have a session ID in here, and we have an ID that we're getting from the parameters of this endpoint. We want to actually change this from just this to remove. So cart remove session ID, and then we want to do this. So let's go back here. So we'll remove, we'll have a session ID of J and the ID of 3. Okay, so it's done that. So you can see it's returned back the value, it's taken everything out. It's updated. This is our updated cart we now have, and the value okay, and store is true. So we now have this new cart which we can do something with in our front end. So that's that one done. The next thing what we're going to want to do is create the add to cart endpoint, which again is just going to be, this is going to be a post, and we'll test this in the code straight after this one, because I haven't, again, my flaw, I haven't got Postman installed, so I can't test the raw API. But what we'll do is we'll cart, so I want to add as well, and then we want to add a session, provide the session ID, and this is going to have a body as well. So what we're going to want to do here is we're going to say item, and we're going to create a constant called item, and this is going to be equal to rec.body.item. So we're going to basically create a request from the React app, and the request body for that will just be an item, and it will just be the single item like this. And then when you click on that add to basket button, it's going to trigger this call. So that's the idea. So again, Redis dot add to cart, and then we're going to want to add to cart the session. We'll add to cart a session ID, an item, which will be the item, and then dot then cart, or add to cart response. We'll do the same process as above. Response equals this, and then res dot, we'll just copy the code again and literally just send back this exact same thing. I don't know what I'm going to rewrite this for. There we go. And then that should be our endpoints done. So now let's go into React, go back into that and create a cart component that's going to render this stuff. So one thing I want to do before we jump into the cart component creation is I want to quickly go and create a session ID via a cookie. So we actually have a way of getting a value generated and associating that value of a cart, which is what we're going to do later on. But we need to have that value stored in a cookie or something. So we'll use a cookie to do it. And again, you could use this functionality now. We're going to use it as a basic thing, but you could use this to or expand upon this by potentially taking the session ID, associating with a time or associating it with a user or something like that, and then that's how you could make it timeout or do something else. But anyway, let's do this. Let's quickly go and just go to Google and find a cookie package. I think there's literally one called npm cookie that I've used before. Oh, nm cookies. There we go, guys. New Mexico State cookie, if you want that. Looks quite nice. Anyway, npm cookie. So we're going to grab this. I think it's quite a good. Yeah, it is. That's fine. And I believe you can set cookies and you can pass them. You can. Okay, cool. Right. So what we'll do is we'll write some middleware. We need to install this first, actually. Like that. And then we're going to write some middleware that's going to check if a cookie exists, and if it doesn't, it's going to create a cookie. So what we'll do is we'll say const, okay, it doesn't like that. Const cookie equals require, and then we'll pass the cookie. And then what we want to do is we now want to create some middleware. So let's do this before we hit any of our roots. We'll just say app.use. What was it? I want it space app.use. And then we're going to create some middleware. It takes in a request, a response, and next equals like this. We'll just quickly do a next there. Give some space to work with. Okay, so what we'll do then is we'll say, well, if we need to pass the cookie first, actually, so we'll just say cookies. We'll get the cookies. Cookies, there we go, equals cookie. Oh, actually, const cookies equals cookie dot pass, and then we're going to pass in the request dot headers, I think dot cookie. Yes, so we can do that. And then we'll say, well, if cookies, because this will create an object, and then we can access the session ID value that we're going to create in a minute from that object. So we'll say cookies dot session ID. So if it exists, oh, hang on, if not, if cookies, if cookies dot session ID, so if it exists, then we just want to do this. Actually, no, let's change the logic. Let's say if it doesn't exist. If not cookies dot session ID, then we want to res dot set header, and we'll set a header called set cookie. It's like this. Set cookie and then we want to give this the value, which is where we pass cookies. Cookie dot serialize, and then we want to give it a name, which we'll give session ID to, like this, and then we're also going to want to give this the value. So we need to possibly give it a random value actually. We can do this like it with a UUID generator maybe. Let's have a look for that. UUID generator package npm, and then we can potentially use that to pass a random cookie value basically. Also, yeah, this is what we're doing, so we'll quickly just take this as well and also set this for a week, so we're going to have the value of a week. We'll put something in here in a second. I'll just put ABC for now, and then oh, what have I done? There we go. So that's that. That should set a cookie. And that's our middleware basically done in that case, but I do want to quickly make this a random value, so we'll try and find some UUID generator or some random ID generator. Oh, here we go. What does this do? UUID just generates a random ID, right? Like with some namespace, I presume. So we create the UUID v1. Okay, and it just returns this sort of random string value. Okay, that's fine. So we'll just install this as well. And then we can use this beautiful thing. I'm sure you will enjoy watching me drink. Whilst it's doing that, then we'll quickly just do this, UUID, and we'll put that in here. This should work nicely. Got an itch on my leg. That should do. Okay, so is it installed? That's kind of worrying, isn't it? Okay. Well, that's installed anyway. So now we've got a UUID generated. Hopefully this should work. So let's quickly just go back to this. I'm going to give it a go. Let's quickly just go here. So now when we hit our app, it should. UUV1 is not defined. Okay, fair enough. That is a problem. We need to just copy this and put this in here. What about if we go to application cookies? Oh, okay, no, it's there. That's fine. So now we have a session cookie, so we can use this later. That's good. Right. So yes, perfect. Cookies are being set. And this is working now, I think. So it's not setting another cookie. As you can see, the cookie's staying the same here, and we've pressed enter 3 times, or it's gone through this route 3 times. And that's because the cookie is already there and doesn't equal null. So that's that bit done. Let's move on to the components now and actually use all of the stuff we've created on the server. I want to quickly change something on the server again. I know, another change, because we are now going to create some actions that are going to call these endpoints, right? But we can't actually pass a session ID from a cookie on the React side of things because we're setting the cookie in a header. So the best way to get that is to get the cookie from the header as well when we send the requests. So how we can do that is by going to our API, our routes, and our main.js file, and we'll go into here and we'll basically go to our Redis endpoints we created, and we're going to go to the bottom one, which is the post, because that's the first one we're going to create for the action. We're going to remove the session ID from there. We need to install, bring that cookie program into the cookie npm package, sorry, into here. So if I quickly go back to our main index file and just copy this over like so and put it at the top. One thing we can do now is use that to get the cookie. So we're going to firstly want to do const cookies equals cookie dot pass, and then we're going to pass in the header again. So rec dot headers dot cookie. That will give us the cookies. And then what we can do is we can say, right, okay, so now we want to get the session ID. So we're going to say cookies dot session ID to get that, and that will give us a session ID. We no longer need this this thing here, so we can get rid of that. Plus it won't work anyway because we're not passing it. And then the item is the body.item. That's fine. All of this is okay. One thing we do need to do though to make this actually function and work is we're going to need to bring in some middleware for body parser into our main index file in here on the server, so that we can get access to that body. So to do that, we're going to just npm install body parser. Like so. And now we're going to quickly just go and find the documentation on it, because I can just copy it straight from there rather than type it all out, which would make sense. We just need probably this line here, this line, and we'll copy all of this and just remove that out. So we can go and put this in. We'll paste it here actually. So body parser, we don't need this app.express thing. We can keep the comments for now. I do want to change these to constants though. Okay, and then we need to have an app.use body parser, I'm presuming, which we don't actually have at the moment. Have I used the wrong one? Okay, might have copied the wrong one here. Oh yeah, I want this bit. Not that one. So remove this and do this instead. There we go. That should do it. So now everything that comes through will be passed so we can access the body. So what we can now do is go back to our React part of this, and we can go and start to create an action for this. So I want to go into Redux, I want to go into actions, I want to create a new folder, and we'll call it cart. And then we'll go to one of the other things we've done, we'll just copy the about one again. Copy this code. I want to go back to cart and create a new file called add to cart.js. I'm going to paste this in. Change the function called add to cart, or add item to cart. I should probably call this actually add item to cart, and we're going to rename this to that too. So add item to cart. Is that capital I? It is. It looks very weird on this. So there we go. Add item to cart. Then we want to also create an index file in here too, where we're going to export it from. So if we quickly just go back to this, I'm going to copy this again and just change it over. And then go here, add item to cart, go here, back into the index file. We'll export it as that, and we'll export it from there. Okay. Right, so that's that bit done. What I'm going to do here is actually, thinking about it, get our product code we wrote, because that is kind of what we're going to do. And then I'm going to just do add item to cart. There we go. So instead of this endpoint, we're going to have /cart /add. We're going to make this an Axios.post call too. And this is going to take in an item like that. And then what we'll do is we're going to just, for now, we'll dispatch the response.data until we know what the object is. I think it'll be .response actually. So we'll just do that quickly, because if I remember correctly, that's how it comes back. So anyway, yeah. So we want to also add in a body. So we'll say body, and then this is going to have item, which is going to be the following, which we pass it. So there we go. We're going to send in item. Does not like this. Why? Okay, no, it's fine now. Weird. So yeah, we're going to do this. We'll send that, and then dispatch this. So one thing we also need to do is change the types up here to cart, and we'll go and create the type of cart in a second. So we'll just go in here now actually and do that. So new file, cart.js. Same thing again, we're just going to go in here and copy these, put them into the cart. We're then going to change the prefixer again to cart types, like that. Save this. We now need to create a reducer for this, so let's do that. So in our reducers, we'll go and we'll copy the code for the product. We'll create a new file called cart.js. We can then paste this in here and change this types to cart, and the rest should work fine as it is. Oh, lovely. So yeah, that's perfect. We're now importing this stuff. So what we're going to want to do with this is also go to the main index quickly and import that in here. So we want to import cart from cart dot dash cart dot dash cart. Boom. There we go. Right, and then we can also include this now into our state. So that should do the trick. I don't think I've missed anything there. I've got everything that I needed to do. Types, reducer, and we've done a action as well. So now with the endpoint set up, we can actually call this. So what we'll do is I'm going to quickly just go in here so I can copy the name of the function. And we're going to go to our app file and import this. Import like this from dash redux dash actions slash, oh, what's going on here? What is this sorcery? Slash cart. There we go. And now what we want to do is map this down here. And we also want to put the state of cart, which I already have. So we can just do that again. State.cart. Okay. So now we've done that, we should be able to call this in our product component, which we're going to pass down. So now if we go to our app and go to app.js, in here we can now get hold of this, and I want to pass it as a prop into this. So we're going to say on add to cart click, which is picking up from the prop we created earlier, like this, and then we want to pass in this callback, which takes an ID, and then that will call this function, which we can get from this .props, this .props .add item to cart, and then we can dispatch the ID. Oh, we want item, not ID, right? Item, which is what's going to come back, and we want to pass the item in here. That makes sense. Okay. So yeah, we have this. It calls this. Perfect. And then inside of this now, we need to go into the product and then call this. So if we go to our product component, which is here, and where's that button, the add to cart button, here it is. So on click, okay, equals, my bad, there we are. And then in here we want to have another value like this, and we want to, we can put in prevent D, actually it's not prevent D, but we don't need to. We can now just say this, not this or props, we can actually just explicitly call this add to cart, and like that. We can actually now pass in an item into this. So what we're going to do to actually make this work is I'm going to quickly go and copy the JSON structure from the data, and I'm then going to use that in here. So if I go to the server, go to data, go to the product file, I'm going to just copy one of these like that, and then we can go back to our product and paste this in here. Don't need this because I've got double, like so. And now what we'll do is we'll just say, like, you know, make these values like this, ID, and then we'll just set, we need to pass in the ID actually, we're giving one in here because we removed it earlier. There we go. So ID is now going to equal ID, name is going to equal name, and I'm going to just map it like this. So name is going to equal name, image is going to equal image, price is price, etc. You get the gist of this, right? I think it's pretty self-explanatory what's happening here. And then description going to equal description, like this. Now we should be able to make a request, and this should work, hopefully. So it should still be running. Okay, it is. And then we're going to go to our app. We're going to quickly console this. I want to clear this all up and make this a bit bigger so we can see what's going on. So let's quickly load up the page. Okay, what we got here then? So all of our product stuff's loaded up, and we have description is not defined. Okay, why is that? Because it's lowercase. Cool. We should probably do the same here. That should work. Re-render this. Gonna remove this again, add to cart. Cart types, okay. Did it return it? We don't have the state, okay. Don't have the state. Okay, there's no state. So if we go into the action, it's probably in there. Yeah, so go into the cart action. The reason we're not getting this is because it's returning null on the server, I reckon. If we remove the body out of here and just send this, then the endpoint on the server won't be getting null. And then this should now work. Let's just check that our body, the items on the server is right. Yeah, that's okay. Redis, go to API index, main.js. Yeah, body.items. So this should work now. What I'm going to do to test this though is just quickly Control Shift and delete the cookie, because I don't want to overwrite all the data we've already got. There's probably quite a few entries now while we've been trying to do this. So I feel like if we do this, and now quickly just close this, open up a Chrome browser again, and just go to localhost 3000. Let's check that we have a cookie. We probably will. Yeah, we do. This is our cookie here. Cool. Add to cart. And it's null. That's worrying what this null is for. However, the item's there. Let's quickly just check where this is coming from. This is weird thing. Okay, cart types, res data, next state, cart, response, updated cart. Okay, good. So the item's there. Okay, that's fine. So now we can add items to cart. So what it does, as we know, it goes back when we add this, it's adding an item and it's then returning the updated cart to us after adding the item. So we currently have this like that. However, I think what we're going to do is just access this directly. So what I want to do in this case, to get this updated cart values, we can go back to our reducer and we can just say, to our action, and we'll dispatch the cart.response.updated cart. So response.updated cart. So we'll do that. So quickly, we'll just go back to this action again and make one last small change on it. So add to cart, response.data.response updated cart. Yeah, updated cart. So we want to just get that, because that way we literally just have all of our values into our cart now. Okay, so that should work nicely. What we're going to do again, we'll quickly just do the whole control shift thing and do this again, create another entry into our Redis cache, and then we can start creating the next endpoints. Localhost 3000, add to cart, F12. Okay, we get our state back and we have our cart value and we have just this now. So that's much better. So we now have our cart, and this obviously means that we can connect to this cart and get our cart. So what we're going to do now is we're going to create a cart component, and then we're going to create a get cart action to get all of the items we add to the cart and display it. So that's next. What we have left to do is we have to basically build the cart. We have to build an action to get the data in the cart when it initializes, and we also need to, what else? Oh yeah, be able to remove something from the cart. So let's do that then. Let's quickly build a cart component, and in the cart component we're going to just render some products similar to what we're doing here, and we're going to have a different on add to cart click action. We're going to potentially modify this, but we're going to basically create some like generic button click, I think, instead, and pass it down that way. Probably is better. So we'll do that as well. Let's take care of that now. So I'm going to copy this. Let's quickly create a new component. So we'll call it cart, and inside this, new file called cart.js as per, new file index.js. I'm not going to bother with any CSS for this, so we won't put that in there. Copy the code from the app component, because we're actually going to use some of the stuff that's in that to an extent. Remove the cookies. Let's remove all of this that we don't really need. Let's also export this as cart, and let's do this. Yeah, we don't want nav. We don't want box. We literally just want, we don't want styles because it doesn't exist. Don't want that. That's all we kind of want in here, I believe. We'll have some props, although I don't think we're going to use them. We'll probably just manage this from inside the cart component itself and connect it to the React state, Redux state. And do it that way. So I think we won't use this, come to think of it. I know we will have it. We'll keep it there for now. I don't want to get rid of it yet. I'm not too eager on that idea. For now, we can just comment out, get rid of this. We don't need it. We are going to keep the component mount though, because we will need that in a minute. Get rid of this. We'll comment this out for now. I don't think we really need a box. Yeah, well, we'll comment this out for now. Let's do that and keep a box actually, because why not? We are going to reuse this product stuff, and we're going to basically render some products, but we're going to pass in a remove from cart click instead of an add to item click to make that work. So what we'll do now is we will create an action next to it. Actually no, quickly we'll just import the cart inside the app component so we can use it in there, so we can just see it visually whilst we're testing this. And then we're going to move it later so that the button that we click actually does something and toggles between the cart and the products page. But we'll do that in a bit. We'll quickly just bring the cart in for now. From dash cart. I don't think I exported it properly in the cart either. In here, so no, we need to quickly go in this and copy this and put this in here. Export default from cart, and inside cart we're going to export cart. Cool. So let's do this then. Okay, and save this. Now let's go to the local host. Actually, before we do that, let's have some sort of context of the fact the cart is there, and inside the cart let's just remove this nav because it doesn't exist. Have the h1 and just call it cart. Oh, there we go, and that will hopefully render fine and we'll be having a good cup of tea. Or not. Also just doing that because of the images. So the images, I believe, aren't actually working properly. I'm not really sure why today, but there we are. It's not throwing an error. I don't see the cart anywhere. Oh, we haven't actually rendered it, have we? That would help. Go to the app, and underneath this box, let's just put the cart, as it's rendering a box, so it would make sense. Let's just remove that. Don't need it. There we go. Right, righty ho. Let's re-render this and hopefully it shall work. No, not today, Dave. App is not defined. Where's this? In cart? Interesting. Oh, I know what it is. Cart dot. Do this. To be fair, I don't think we really need this. We could probably remove it. And just. Do you know what? That's actually not a bad shout. Let's just get rid of this because we don't need it. And have that. And I think we imported it correctly for this anyway, come to think of it. So. Okay. Not today, Jeff. Box is not defined. Okay, fair enough. It is not. We don't need it. We'll just be happy and have this for now. Because I don't want to like overcomplicate this even more. Let's just keep it as it is. There we go. So we have a cart type area. And now we're going to actually put some stuff into this here when this adds stuff. So what we'll do is now we need to create an action to get the cart, because although you could be saying to yourself, well, yes, when we click these add to carts, it's updating our store anyway. So if you notice here now, it's updating our store and we now have 8 of these in there, these items. However, that's fine, but think about when it initially loads, right? So we can't just pass this cart state or directly get this these cart items from our store, simply because if we do that, then there's going to be a time or a point where the component mounts and someone might not have anything in their cart, and then it's going to try and get some data that doesn't exist, throw an error. So this is why we use Redis in the first place, so that we can actually pre-fill that then. So now what we can do when the cart component mounts is we can check if something's in the cart already. Ignore that bad request, by the way, that's just the images from wherever the hell we're getting them from. So yeah, we can do that, and we'll write the check now, write the code for that now, and do that. So first, we need to actually get ourselves a action to create, don't we? So we need to go to the actions folder, let's go into cart, add items, we're not going to put it in here, we'll create a new file in here called get cart, and put our action in there. And then we'll copy this code because the code's pretty much going to be the same for the action. We just need to change a few things. So firstly, we need to create this into make this a get call. We need to just have get cart because it's not going to be this. We don't need this body anymore because it's now a get call, as you know. This will be like this. This I don't think will be the same. I think it's something different. I think it's like response.data.cart, but we'll change it. But I also want to log out that for now, which we'll leave that there from when we previously did this, just so that we can check the response. Then I want to go into the index. Actually, before we do that, these types, we need to create some different types. So if we go to our types folder in Redux, which is here, and go to cart, let's just add some types to this. So we'll just say, we'll say rec underscore cart, or get cart, get underscore cart, and we'll leave it like that. And we'll set this to null, and then we'll say res underscore get underscore cart, and so that's a null as well. And we'll do the same underneath this. We'll set fail underscore cart, or get cart underscore cart, and we'll also set this to null, and that should do nicely for now. Okay, so now we can go back and we can actually include these two. So I'm going to just copy them over so we can go back to our action and put these in. Also because it's just simpler for me to copy it over and just directly copy and paste this in here. So we're going to have type dot rec get cart and type dot res get cart like this. Okay. So this should now, oh actually delete that bit back there, cool. So this should now be set up to work for the action perspective. We need to change this, and remove the item actually, so we need to just say get cart as well. And then inside of this index file now, we're going to just create another export like above. So I'm going to just paste this in here, copy this code above on line 1, paste that in, then copy the get cart into there, like that, and that now means we can put that here too. We should now be able to access this. So now that's that done in our actions, are good. So we can move on to the next thing. So reducers is the other thing we haven't done. So we need to create another reducer in here. So we have to basically add another case. So we'll just copy this, paste this underneath. We'll change this to the type that we created, which will be res, I think it was res cart data or res get cart. To be fair, it might actually have made more sense to have used the data type approach that we used previously, but we've gone with it now, so we can always correct this at a later stage. So I want to go back to my reducers. I want to go to the cart. I want to say, well, on this case that the res, it's, oh, what have I done here? Okay, we'll just say res underscore cart, or get cart, I think that's what we called it. I'll just double check that as well. Res get underscore cart, yes. Okay, so now that we've done the action, what we now want to do is go over to our app component, app container, sorry, and we want to include this action so that we can make use of it in there. So the first thing we need to do is import it at the top. So get cart, I think that's what we named it. It is. Then we want to also map this dispatch to props. So we want to put it in there, like this. Then we can now make use of it inside of our app component. So there's a couple of things we're going to have to do here. Firstly, we need to actually set up the cart in a way that's conditionally rendered, right? And then we also need to call it so that we can actually check whether or not the data is there. So firstly, let's just actually create a call. In fact, no, let's conditionally render this first. Then we'll add the call to our component did mount. But what we want to do here is add in some curly braces and then move our cart into this. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, well, we'll use a ternary operator and we'll say this dot props dot cart does not equal null. So if it's not empty and there's something in it, because that's the only other time it will not be null, because we're setting it by adding things. There's nothing else that's setting that cart. So if that happens, it will not be null. Ternary operator, and then we want to say, well, we'll render the cart, or, I mean, else, we just render just nothing, blank string. We also need to pass some props into this. So we'll pass in cart equals this dot props dot cart. Okay. In fact, yeah, we'll use it like that for now. I'm thinking we'll just do it like this, to be honest with you, but there you go. We'll do it like this for the time being and change this up, make it a bit neater. So this dot props dot cart does not equal null. Then we'll do this, otherwise return that. Okay, that's fine. So what we now want to do is actually go into this cart. Let's quickly just write some code, that's going to map it to products. So to do that, we can just literally take this code here because the code is going to be the same, right? So we go back to our cart component. We can paste this in there. We don't need the component did mount anymore. So we can get rid of that and turn this into a functional component, to be honest with you. But we'll do that in a second. So currently it's this dot state dot products, but what it's going to be is it's going to be this dot props dot cart, like this, and then map, and we want to map an item that's in someone's cart. We can refer to it as a product, I suppose. And then we want to pass the item in here. Okay, then we're going to just delete this for a second because we don't need it at the moment. Although we will do, we'll get rid of it for now just to actually render the cart. So that should be fine, should work. Let's just make sure it's not throwing any errors. If they are, then we'll sort them out. Shouldn't render anything. Okay, good. And the reason it's still loading is because of these images don't seem to want to work properly. Okay, so that's good. So now what we want to do is we want to go back to the app.js file, and we now need to actually call the cart. Okay, so this dot props dot get cart, and then dot then, and we'll just literally have a callback function for now because we don't need to actually do anything. We'll just console.log just so that we have something to say that it ran. Get cart called. So that's fine. Now what we should see is hopefully it should actually render us a cart or something under here, because obviously we have stuff in our cart. So if we just press enter, it's throwing an error, currently property cart of undefined in app.js. Okay, let's figure out why this is then. There's our cart. App.js, cannot read property cart of undefined. This dot props dot cart is not equal null. Ah, that'll be why. Okay. Props dot cart, that's fine. And there we go. So now we have a cart. as you can see, it's getting the data from Redis, pre-filling our store with it. So now we have items in our cart. We're at the last hurdle. We're finally almost there. So we now have this cart working okay, and when you add something to the cart now, so you'll notice there's 1, 2, 3, 4 items in our cart. So if I add another one, there's now 1, 2, 3, 4. Hang on. Now there's 5. That's 6. Okay, I was right the first time. Either way, the cart's working as we expect. However, we need to now change this so that when we click this, it removes something, and this changes to remove from cart as well. So, in order to do this, we're going to go back to this, and we're going to, firstly, I want to go and create an action to remove something from the cart. So let's go to Redux, go to our actions, go to cart, create a new file, which will just, why is it not letting me do this? Oh, new file, apparently I need to open my eyes. Remove item from cart. That will do, .js. Again, copy the get cart code, and we'll paste that in here. So we'll change this to remove item from cart. Oh, cart. And we also need to take in something here. Now, because we're going to use this in a generic function when we call it inside of our product component, we need to make sure there's some similarities between this and the adding the item to cart. So we'll take in an item here, and then we'll just get the property of the ID from that item so that we can make a request to our backend API that we set up that will remove the item from Redis and then return back a new cart that's been updated. So to do this, we're just going to simply pass in the item like I mentioned. And then we'll change this by quickly going to the server. We're going to go to Redis, not Redis, sorry, server API routes main. And we want this one, this one here. We're going to also take out this session ID because we don't need this anymore. So we can just have dash remove ID. And we're going to just copy that, check this quickly. Yeah, that's all fine. So we're now going to go back to the remove from cart function we're creating in this, this action. And then I want to just change the cart here, remove by ID, and obviously we'll change it from this. We'll use backticks as well so that we can access that item and put it inside of this. So like this, and then dollar syntax item.id. Save that. This will return some response.data.cart, etc. Okay, we'll leave that like that for now. And now what I want to do is create some types, because we have these types, so we need some more types again to use. So if we go to types, go to cart, we'll just copy these and we'll create some new types again. So we'll say rec, we're going to just call this remove underscore item. Okay, and then we'll do the same for the request, remove underscore item underscore cart, yeah, and then again fail to remove underscore item underscore cart. Okay, so that's the types done. So I'm going to quickly just copy these two so I can remind myself of what they are, because knowing me, I'll probably forget this quite quickly once I put them in. So I'm going to quickly just copy that request and replace this with that like that, and then delete it because we don't need that, and then same here like this. Okay, so delete that, I don't need it, save it, and And now we need to actually import this again inside of the index file so we can use it. So I'm going to put that there, copy this, paste that there, take the function name and paste it in, oh, okay, yeah, that's fine. And then the name is remove item from cart. Also, I just noticed that hasn't got the O in it, so we need to do that. So that's the same, from cart. Remove item from cart. Yeah, and also delete this, save that, and then I want to go back into this remove item from cart and just add that O in because I've spelled that wrong. There we go. So now that should work. Cannot find module remove item from cart in remove item from cart. Okay. Copy. Going to rename this. See if that does anything to help us out. Okay. Yes, just copy that and rename it to this. I think it's because I spelled something wrong in this file when I named it. Maybe the I was lowercase, or I'm not sure. Yeah, it could have been something like that. It's definitely to do with the naming of this though. So copy that, rename this and paste it in there. So that should do that. And then the index file's done. We're all good there. We're all good there. Okay. So now we need to go to our reducer and create a reducer, which will be in carts. Again, we need to create another case basically. So just copy this. And then we can change this to res remove underscore item. Like that. And that should do that for us. So I think we've done everything there. Got this, we've got the types, got the action created. I'm also going to just go in here and copy this. Now I want to go and map this into the container again. So containers app.js, we want to bring this in here. And then same as before, quickly do that. Now we'll be able to access this through the props. So if we go to our app component, and in here we need to pass this to cart so that it can use it. So we want to say, I want to give a prop that's remove item handler, and I want to set that equal to this dot props dot like that. That will pass it down to our cart. So now we can go into our cart quickly. And just to test this, so we're going to rename this in a second. The prop, the product container there. We're going to rename the prop that the product component takes for the button click. So we're going to name it something generic, like on button click, or some functionality where it's just a generic thing. We can give it something that takes an item, etc. It passes an item back, so we can do something with that. So for now, we're going to just I think it's add to cart, on add to cart click, which is this. We're going to pass it this dot props dot, it would be remove item handler, I think we named, didn't we? Let's just go back a second and just see what we named this. Yeah, remove item handler. Okay. So if we go in here, remove item handler, like this, that should now actually work okay because we're passing it into this product component. So it's coming in here, it'll do all this, that's fine. On add to cart click. Yeah, this should work. On add to cart click and it's equal to that, and it does this, it takes in this, yeah, that should work. So let's test this quickly. I'm going to open up the console log. so we can see what's going on. This doesn't look reassuring, does it? Let's see if it's going to work. Okay, so we have our cart. If I click add, now added some more items to the cart. Okay, so let's clear this and see what happens when I click remove. Okay, remove, not found. Okay, yeah, I know why. It's because we are missing the cart from this URL. So if we go to the code, oh hang on, I was on it. Here, /remove, I think it's /cart. Let's just check the server. I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah, it is, /cart. Okay. So, well, that's failing. So if we go to, go back to the thing, sorry. Add in /cart /remove. That should now fix that issue. If I refresh this, like this. Honestly though, the TV, like TVs now, the pictures this thing's coming up with, there are some interesting stuff. It's such a massive range, isn't it? We've had like, you know, all sorts of things, from cheese to Porsches to planes to TVs, even a tiger now. So very weird choice. But anyway, let's see if this is working. Okay. Okay, so the action's firing, but now we have a different problem. Data, okay. This is probably to do with something around the data it's returning. I expect it's not mapped properly in our action. Response, data, response, yeah, it isn't. Okay, here we go. So data, response, and then we have an updated cart, which it returns back with the removed item. And that's why it's not working. We've removed a lot of things from this cart, mind. Oh, because we're doing it by the ID, so we're removing it with the ID, aren't we, of course. So yeah, so we need to just change this within the action and it should work actually. So here we have this cart, but it's actually data.response.updated cart. I think it was. That should do it. Let's just check that that is correct. Data.response.updated cart, yeah, so let's just clear this. That action should fire now. Oh, hang on. Might have loaded up the JavaScript incorrectly. I mean, it's not in the cart now because we just removed it, but if we add something to the cart and then we remove it, there we go. So it's working fine, that's good. So there we go. Technically now we have the completely implemented system. So if we quickly just Control Shift and delete this, so I can clear my cache and clear the cookie, etc. Obviously there's the downside that we're using a cookie to do this, but this could obviously, when you were to have, say, a login system, you could then transfer the data that's in Redis associated with that session ID and then associate that with a login or an account details. And then obviously that means if you were to sign somebody in on a phone, or if you were to sign somebody in on a different desktop or laptop, then obviously the data is going to be available across platform, which is a really useful thing to do. And because it's a quick access cache, you can do this really quickly and it's really efficient. So I'm just going to clear my cookies and data, etc., which I do not know where that's just disappeared to. Did I just click it and forgot that? Yeah, I did, didn't I? I think I just clicked it and forgot. So we'll close that down. We'll open up another Chrome, sorry. And then we're going to head to localhost. Just do it there quickly. Okay, so we have our products. I'm assuming it keeps doing this weird thing. I'll check why it does it in a second. But yeah, I'm going to make a few more small changes as well. So if we just click add to cart again, we now have a cart with this in it. Yeah, and I have another one. If I remove it, there we go, remove. Also, if I add to cart now, and then I just come back again, my cart's pre-filled, which is good. So that works fine. Let's just make some small changes and tweaks. So what I want to do quickly actually is I want to go to this product and I want to change the name of the thing we pass in. So if we go to source, go to the component, go to product index.js. So we have this on add to cart click, but I want to change this on button click instead, like that. And we're also going to pass this in at the top as a prop. And then anyway, now that we're calling this on add to cart click, that we need to change it. Oh, that's in bundle. We're going to do it here. So it'll be on btn click, and also here we need to do it there too. And because that makes more sense, it's better to use that, like it's more of a generic thing. It means you can pass some form of button click handler to it then, rather than just having these generic things or changing it. We should have one function rather than multiple functions inside that component to do one job, essentially. So if we quickly just double check this is working fine, it should do. No, in our luck it won't. Add to cart, yeah, it's cool. One last thing I want to do to finish up here before you guys basically have some stuff you can take away and implement. I mean, obviously you can change the UI completely, because let's face it, it's not very nice, but it's giving us something to show what's going on behind the scenes. So we now take this basket thing, do something to toggle between these two rather than having them both show at the same time. So to do that, we're going to just create a state property, and we're going to do the classic simple way of just passing a function down to the nav where that button exists, and passing the function to that, or a reference to the function, sorry, to that button, so that it calls it, and changes our state dependent upon whether, you know, when you click the button and what screen you're on. So we'll do that by having a show cart property, which we'll set to false as default, because we don't want to show the cart to start with. And then we'll have a bit of space here, and then we'll have a function that just does a simple show cart. In fact, we'll call it show cart handler, because it's going to handle the show cart property, which makes sense. And then we'll just have a this dot set state, and then I want to show cart, and I want to set that equal to this dot state dot show cart. And then we'll do a ternary operator here and say if it exists, false or true. That should now be able to toggle this. Then let's just quickly pass this down to our nav. So we'll just say show cart handler equals this dot show cart handler, and then we'll bind dot bind this. Okay, and then I want to actually console log out as well this dot state, yeah, just so that I can see when this is changing. So we'll do that, go to the nav, go to the button. We also need to come in here now and just show cart handler, and then this will have an on click prop we can pass something to, which we're going to just give it this, and that show cart handler. Why is it not? Oh, there we go. Weird. Anyway, yeah, so this should now work. So I'm quickly just going to open up the F12 so we can see what's going on. Clear this, and hopefully, there we go, it's changing to false and true. That's good. So now what we can do is then go back into our app file, and now we can do some conditional rendering here to basically change this based on what the state is. So what we'll do is we will take this stuff here. I'm going to put this in a div. So I'm going to do the following. I'm going to have a div like this, and then I'm going to put this stuff inside of a div like this, sort that out. And then I want to have a condition here that says, well, if this dot state dot show carts and where is it? Actually, it will be not this dot state dot show cart. So basically, if show cart's false, then we want to show products. If it's true, we want to show cart, don't we? So that makes sense. And then down here, I also want to conditionally render this. Let's just check that's working actually. Products, there we go. So that's that bit working. Obviously we don't want the cart to show up though based on that. So down here we're going to do the same thing. We're going to use this box again actually. I want to put it inside of a box anyway. So we'll just have box or box. And then I need to use this display flex as well. Oh, hang on a minute, let's go inside there, it doesn't help. Display equals flex, and then I'm going to do this as well, similar thing. I'm going to put this inside of there. And then I also want to do the same thing we did up here. Copy this. Place that there. And again, just have above it this dot state dot show cart and that. And that should now actually work with a bit of luck. Okay, so product is showing but no cart, and now cart's showing no products. So there we go, we now have a working system. So I want to add stuff to the cart as well. Go to my basket and it's now in the cart. I want to remove it, remove that, and it works fine. I can then come off, go back on again. Go to my basket and it's pre-filled, and all this data is now coming from Redis. So Redis is now taking care of everything. It's just essentially acting as like an external store, if you like, one way of looking at it. But yeah, so that's quite good. So now you guys can take this. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this series. I'll be building more like this in the future. We're looking at doing a potentially real-time data streaming thing next, or also the potential prospect of looking at I'm going to just do this bit in a separate video.